none of my money.
If you want Cardone Kern to grow your brand for you, to get your market's attention, keep your market's attention, and cause them to know you, like you, trust you, and want what it is that you have to sell, go to CardoneKern.com.
When you're in front of a customer, do I have your attention? When you're getting attention, you need to know something else is trying to get their attention too. You're in competition with everything, and you don't need to make attention. You need to get attention. They're tied together. Attention is money. Get it, keep it, multiply it. That means when I'm in a meeting, I need to get your attention. I need to get it. I need to be sure I have it. I need to keep it, and then I need to multiply that attention. Because if you don't keep my full attention, you ain't gonna get none of my money.
If you want Cardone Kern to grow your brand for you, to get your market's attention, keep your market's attention, and cause them to know you, like you, trust you, and want what it is that you have to sell, go to CardoneKern.com.
When you're in front of a customer, do I have your attention? When you're getting attention, you need to know something else is trying to get their attention too. You're in competition with everything, and you don't need to make attention. You need to get attention. They're tied together. Attention is money. Get it, keep it, multiply it. That means when I'm in a meeting, I need to get your attention. I need to get it. I need to be sure I have it. I need to keep it, and then I need to multiply that attention. Because if you don't keep my full attention, you ain't gonna get none of my money.
If you want Cardone Kern to grow your brand for you, to get your market's attention, keep your market's attention, and cause them to know you, like you, trust you, and want what it is that you have to sell, go to CardoneKern.com.
When you're in front of a customer, do I have your attention? When you're getting attention, you need to know something else is trying to get their attention too. You're in competition with everything, and you don't need to make attention. You need to get attention. They're tied together. Attention is money. Get it, keep it, multiply it. That means when I'm in a meeting, I need to get your attention. I need to get it. I need to be sure I have it. I need to keep it, and then I need to multiply. See this graph right here? This is a Google trend between 2010 and today. In 2010, I saw this trend for the first time. See how flat it was? This scale goes from like 2, the number 2, to 100. Watch the graph, and then watch this. That's my income. It's 2010. Wait a minute. Look at this, watch this. If I didn't have, how identical do these look? Look at them, they're almost identical. Is that stupid or what? Best known will always be best product. So quit spending so much time trying to be the best product, the best service, be the best known.
Hey everybody, Frank Kern here, and welcome to The Lead Magnet. I think this is what, our third show? Yes. Right when we go into the show, contact malfunction. So if I'm doing this the whole time, I'm just winking at you. And or maybe something's gone weird with the contact, because this is in fact live. Perfect timing. All right, today's show is all about the magic formula to making your ads work better. Does that sound hypey enough, guys? I think we could hype it up a little bit more. The secrets of the magic formula, the mysterious secrets of the magic formula that they don't want you to know about. I think that's a little more hypey. I think that sounds better. This really is pretty close to magic though, this formula I'm going to share with you. Now, before we begin, if at any time while you're watching this or listening to this through a podcast or whatever, you think to yourself, I want these people to handle my ads for me. This whole thing's sounding pretty good. I'd rather they do it than me. Go to CardoneKern.com. On that website, which is beautifully designed it myself, thank you very much. Just a slightest little bit of sarcasm in the design comment there, but there's a little letter on the site that tells you exactly what we do, how we do it. If you like what you read, fill in the form and we'll set up a time to talk. If I forgot to introduce myself, my name again is Frank Kern. I'm the CEO, co-founder, and creative director here at CardoneKern.com. I'm also the person with the most titles. which I think is important, don't you guys? I think the more titles you have, probably the more significant you feel, right? So let's go ahead and get started, okay? Before I share this magic formula, the secret magic formula, sounds a little hypier. Before I share this with you, I want to give you a word of warning, all right? Been having some conversations with clients over the past week, and a lot of people are having this problem, which they'd rather not have. They're saying, you know, man, we've been running ads for a while. Typically, these are folks who are coming to us, right? We've been running ads for a while. Everything's cool. We're getting leads, but they're the wrong type of leads. You ever have that happen to you? You're getting people in the door, but they can't afford to buy from you, or they're not qualified or whatever, and you're like, man, if only I just had the right people. And you start to think, well, maybe it's the internet. Maybe the people I'm working or looking for aren't on the internet, or maybe they're not on social media, or whatever. Probably not the case. Here's the big rule, all right? Before we get into the big secret formula, here's the big rule, and it's this. You cannot catch whales with minnow bait. All right, so that's the rule. Clearly a metaphor, probably true in whale fishing, if that's how you catch whales as well. But here's what I mean by it. All right, I'll tell you a story. I have this client. I just spoke with him yesterday. As a matter of fact, he'd been running ads forever, spent like 20 grand on ads or something, and like would get all these leads, but nobody had any money. He was in professional services, web development stuff, like fancy stuff. And he's like, dude, everything, like the process is working. People are clicking on the ads, they're going, they're scheduling appointments with me. And then turns out they have no budget to invest in the stuff that I sell. I'm like, a bummer. Let's take a look at the ad. Now the ad said something, I don't want to give away the guy's business out of, confidentiality or whatever, but the ad said something along the lines of, hey, here's how to achieve this big result, even if you don't have any money. Like that was actually not quite verbatim, it was actually for free on a $0 budget. Now, who do you think that ad was attractive to? Yeah, people with a $0 budget, right? That's an example of minnow bait. Now, he's trying to catch whales, he's trying to get these higher end clients, but he's putting out minnow bait going, hey, if you don't have any money, and if you don't have any budget, then talk to me. Total disconnect there, super common. Happens all the time. Had another client that I was speaking with, and same thing happened to them, and actually ended up kind of making fun of him a little bit about it by accident. You ever do that? You're like, oh man, as long as you're not doing something really dumb like this, and then you're like, that's exactly what we're doing. So these guys sell done-for-you web services and stuff, and their service costs like 30 grand or whatever, and it's pretty good service. They know what they're doing. And like they would get all these leads and really, really low sales rate. Like people just didn't have any money. And I said something like, well, dude, I don't understand why it's not working unless you're doing something really dumb, like running one of those ads that say, hey, if you come on this webinar, I'll show you my secret formula on how to make $10,000 a day in your, or not a day, my secret formula on how to make $10,000 a month in your business. And they're just like, turns out that's exactly what they were doing. Now let me ask you a question. If someone's signing up to learn how to make $10,000 a month in their business, do you think they're making $10,000 a month already? No, right? That means they ain't got no money, which means of course they can't afford the dude's $30,000 package. They were putting out minnow bait. I'll give you one final example, all right, just to really drive it home. Years ago, there was an author by the name of Chet Holmes wrote a really, really good book called The Ultimate Sales Machine, How to Go from 0 to 100 Million. And they ran a lot of radio ads very successfully. And the radio ads would give away a chapter of this book, and then a salesman would call and blah, 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 and they grew the company to be pretty big. So I was talking to the dude who helped grow their sales force. It's a couple of years ago. And I was like, yeah, man, that must have worked out really, really well. And he said, man, dude, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that we would get that just had absolutely no business. So they would call and they would respond to the ad and they'd ask for the free chapter of the book and they would book the phone calls and then they'd be on the phone with the sales team and the guy'd be like, hey, what kind of business are you in? And the guy'd be like, well, I was thinking about starting a recycled tuna can business where we took to making wind chimes out of them or either turn them into fishing lures, but I don't quite, and the dude's like, what in the hell? So I was like, man, what was wrong? And it turns out it was one little word in that book title. I wonder if you know what it is. I'll tell you the book title one more time. The first person to guess it wins 757 million points. Okay, that's a lot of points. And those can be donated to the charity of your choice. All right, so here's the book title again. We're looking for the one word that was minnow bait. The Ultimate Sales Machine, How to Go from 0 to 100 Million. What's the one word? Well, I'll tell you because you can't really answer me because I'm looking at a camera, unless you guys can see the comment. Anyone guessing?
They can call.
Oh, you could call. That's right. You could. All right, I'll just leave it hanging then. is what we'll do. We'll leave it hanging. I forgot to give you the temporary new number, by the way. Is it a temporary new number, or is this the new number? It's a temporary new number. Okay, it's a temporary new number. If you need any marketing help, you want me to help you with your lead gen, your ads, whatever, call 305-865-6404. Now, you know you're in trouble. I'm turning 47 in a couple weeks. You know you're getting older when the font is this big and you still have to read it like that. That's a bad sign, if anyone out there can relate. I get it. 305-865-6404. The first person to guess the one word that turned that book title into minnow bait again wins, what was it, 657 million points donated to the charity of your choice. Huge prize. Okay, we don't do this every day, but today we're going to do it. Okay, so let's talk about that magic formula. Again, before I tell you, I'm going to share you with you one more little secret. All right, you ever heard of this thing called Occam's razor? It's spelled O-C-C-A-M-S. Occam. I think it's called Occam. Is it Occam? Occam. We're just going to pretend it's called Occam. All right. Here's what it means. This theory says simpler solutions are more likely correct than complicated ones. So as I'm giving you this magic formula, which really is pretty freaking good, I'm got to tell you, it's good. I'm going to tell you exactly what to say in your ads and how to frame them and everything. Keep this in mind. All right. The simplest solution is likely going to be more correct than a complicated solution. So, a long time ago, I heard this quote by a fella, I think it was by a guy named Jay Abraham. If you're a marketing person, you'll know who Jay is, right? Really, really brilliant marketing guy. He said something along the lines of, sometimes the easiest way to sell a horse is to put out an ad that says, horse for sale, right? If you look at, for example, Grant's ads for Cardone Capital, when he inserts them into the podcast, I can almost have the dang things memorized. What's he say? Well, now I'm on the camera. I can't remember what the heck he says, but I've heard him so many times. What does he say? Something like, do you have a bunch of money sitting around in the bank account and you're worried about inflation and blah, 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 blah. Go to cardonecapital.com or whatever. Really, really simple. He's just calling right out to them. All right? Oh. Made that happen. Not everybody can do that. All right? So anyway, simple is good. So let's start with me giving you a very, very simple script to sell something directly. All right? So this is a magic formula on how to create an ad that sells something directly. Now, I should rephrase that. It doesn't sell the thing directly. It brings them into your sales process directly. So if your sales process is, hey, call us and give us some money, it'll do that. If it's go to my website and buy something, it'll do that. If it's come to my car dealership, take a test drive of the car, it'll do that. All right? So, are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Again, I'm here in a studio. You can't answer me. I just appear to be schizophrenic right now. Step number one, this is your opening statement. You can choose one. If you, all right, or are you. Okay? So opening statement begins with an if you or are you statement. So I'll give you an example. Oh, there we go. Sometimes these things are hard to operate. I was really just doing that on purpose. I just wanted him to get in the camera frame. All right. His name is Francisco. My name is also Francisco, although I prefer to be addressed by my natural name, which is El Gordo. And we both have lion tattoos. A little random trivia for you there. People often mistake us for twins. Okay, so here's the framework. If you, are you. This is the beginning of your ad. So this is where you're calling out to the person who's probably going to be your right customer. So, for example, if we were doing this to sell our advertising services, my first step one, I might say something like, if you have a business that sells anything, end. That's it, right? So that's our first part of the script, if you. If we wanted to use are you instead, we might say something like, are you the owner of a business that sells anything? Boom, we got them, okay? We're calling right out to the people that we want. Now, step number two, again, this is the magic formula. Oh, look at that, we made it bigger. That's what you were doing. All right, step number dos here, or step number B, for all you guys on the metric system, we would now say, where'd we go? And you want, okay? So, and you want. All right, so if you have a business that sells anything, that's step number one, Now we use the and you want framework. So if we're selling advertising, for example, and you want more customers and leads and you want a bigger brand, right? So you would just insert whatever they want here, all right? Now we move on to step number 3, which is, here's what I got. And I'm just going to shorten that to here's what, all right? But we're really saying, here's what I got. So if you have a business that sells anything and you want more customers, more leads, and a bigger brand, then social media advertising is the way to get there. That's what I sell, right? Here's what I got. You could literally say, here's what I got, by the way. I could do that by saying, if you have a business that sells literally anything and you want more leads and customers and sales and to build a bigger brand, then here's what I got for you today. It's called social media advertising. See, you can literally follow this scripting to the letter if you want to. Now, the next step here is here's what it'll do for you. Rather than writing all that out, I just, here's what do. We omit words a lot of times around here. All right, so here's what it'll do for you. This is where you explain the benefits of the thing you got, right? So we might say something like, if you have a business that sells anything and you want more leads and customers, then social media ads, that's here's what I got. Social media ads are the way to get them. Here's what I got would be, my name's Frank Kern. And my agency, CardoneKern.com, will help you find your perfect prospects, tell you exactly what to say to them so they'll want to buy from you, and then put your ads in front of them constantly. I just said, hey, here's what it'll do for you, right? And the final thing here is here's what to do next. All of this made easier by the fact that my penmanship is terrible, right? So if you, or are you, could be a question, and you want the big result your customer wants, here's what I got. Hey, my name's Crazy Eddie, and we're down here at Crazy Eddie's House of Chevrolets, and we've got tons of Chevrolets that are fresh off of the, I don't know, wherever one might get discount Chevrolets from, right? Fresh from the retail outlet discount area or something. And here's what I want you to do next. Come on down and see us and test drive one, right? Really, really easy to follow this framework. This is called a pitch framework, right? So this is the pitch. The reason this works is because of the Occam's razor principle. This is the simplest solution. We ain't got to get fancy. Like old J. Abraham said, sometimes the best way to sell a horse is to make an ad that says horse for sale. This is essentially that framework of doing that. All right, so that's magic formula number A. Again, we're using the metric system today, so A is a number. Again, if you've got questions, give us a call at 305-865-6404. Oh, we've got 2 of them. I wonder if anyone recognized the word. That was the minnow bait word for 657 million points. Let's see, caller number 1. All the way from sunny San Diego. It's Spanish for some word I can't quite remember, but they do keep it classy there. What's happening, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Frank?
Pretty good.
In fact, should I call you El Gordo?
Yes, please. That is my real legal name. Yeah.
Fantastic. You're a little hard to hear. I don't know whether it's my volume. Were you looking for the answer to your question?
Yes. What was the one word that made
I would say it's 0. You did not identify the exact prospect that you were looking for.
We have a winner. Which charity would you like to donate your 657 million points to?
How about the San Diego Zoo?
San Diego Zoo, 657 million points, and your name donated to the San Diego Zoo. All right, that was a good call. That one word screwed them up totally badly. Now, of course, it helped the book sell a lot, but it generated a lot of people who were at 0. So classic example of minnow bait. Now, did you have a question, or did you just want to win some points?
I was just looking to win some points, but I'd be curious to find out how you would identify your ideal prospect in certain cases. A lot of times, like I said, you might have a service that you provide, but there are a couple different things. Do you want to get real specific with what your service or what you're offering? Or even if it's a lot of different, like I said, if there could be a lot of answers to that.
I will. I'm glad you asked. Okay, first of all, Nothing is ever about our service. It's always about them, right? The most important person in the room, I guess in this case people, because them are plural in most versions of the English language. The most important people in the world in the room are them, right? So in this case, we start to have to ask, what is the criteria they must have in order to be considered perfect? And the best way to figure that out is to imagine a very, very bizarre scenario. All right, and this actually came from a good friend of mine named Dean Jackson. He's the one who shared this concept with me to give credit where credit is due. So, you ask yourself this question, all right? If you could only get paid after they got the results that you promised, all right, what criteria would they have to have in order for you to take that gamble with them? Because remember, you're gambling with your time, you're gambling with your energy, and you're gambling with your resources in this environment. And so when you do this, it makes your brain, it forces your brain to come up with, who is the person I can get the most results for in the fastest amount of time with the least resistance? And if you ask yourself what criteria this person has, that then defines that criteria of your perfect and ideal client. And it all starts with that question, which is a weird question. You know, if I could only get paid after they got the results that I was promising, what criteria would they have to have? So in this case, if we were to rewrite that book, we might call it something like The Ultimate Sales Machine, How to Make Your Next Million in Business from Having a Stronger Sales Force, or something like that, right? Not to rewrite Chet Holmes's great work. He was truly a pioneer and he was awesome. So for all I know, everything he did was intentional, but that's a good way to do it. All right, let's get back to cracking with our magic formula. I hope you enjoy it down there in San Diego. That's where I just moved from. I'll have you know, guys, here in Miami, we're enjoying a balmy 75,000 degree temperature outside. It's really, really nice. Only 75,000 degrees right now. Okay, so now, I just showed you how to pitch, all right? Gave you the magic formula for making a pretty easy pitch. Really, really basic formula. Works like a champ. No need to complicate anything. Remember Occam's razor. However, if we want to really, really make your ad campaigns work, we got to do some stuff before we show people that pitch, right? That pitch will work to total strangers, but it'll work even better if those total strangers already know you, like you, trust you, and want what you have to sell. One of the reasons Grant, like let's take Cardone Capital, for example. One of the reasons it's so easy for Grant to raise money in Cardone Capital is because people who are giving Grant money already know him, like him, trust him, and want to be in Cardone Capital because they've seen him talk about how unbelievably cool multifamily real estate is for years. So how do we engineer a situation like that for you? Well, here's how we do it, okay? So first thing we got to do, this is your ad that is basically, don't know why that did that, weird. This is your ad for a product called How to Use a Whiteboard, right? This is the ad for the product that sells the thing. So before we do that, we need to we need to do two steps. We need to get someone to self-identify as being your perfect person, and then we need to build that bond with them, and then we need to show them that ad. So what I want to give you now is two little formulas. They're bonus formulas is what they are. Isn't that right, Natalie? We're just giving them, we've given away 657 million points today. Now we got two bonus formulas. What could be better here on the Lead Magnet Show? All right, so let me show you how to do that, all right, and exactly what to say to do that. There's two frameworks, okay? The first framework, by the way, the answer to how do you get someone to self-identify and how do you build the bond with people before selling them stuff is content. It's always content, but not how you think. All right, on social media, a lot of people think that like content is like, that's how I take selfies. I don't know about you. You've got to get the duck lips. It's real hard to do, especially if you have a beard, because you really have to accentuate the duck lips for people to see them. It's exhausting. But anyway, I don't mean content like that. I mean stuff that's actually useful to people. So within the context of content that sells at the same time and warms people up, so you can really, really sell to them down the line, there are two frameworks I'm going to give you. The first one is called the call out framework. All right, call out. All right, and I'll take another caller after I explain this framework. All right, and it's got 4 steps to it, okay? The first one And step one, now these aren't individual ads, I just think in terms of boxes because I'm weird, you know. The first one, we call people out by a statement or question that begins with any of these. If, do, or are you. If you, do you, or are you. When we say that in conjunction to whoever we're trying to attract, their attention is going to be like whoosh, focused right on it. So let's say we're selling dog training, all right? And our ideal person is someone who's got a puppy and the puppy's a pain in the butt. They're chewing up everything. Anytime the phone rings, I think like we need to do something. I'm like, do we need to do anything? Did someone call? All right? Do we need to keep it down? Did we get a noise complaint? You know, I guess that's what growing up as a degenerate kind of instills when you're older. You still think you're getting in trouble. Is it the cops? We got to turn the music down, hide the beer. Our parents are coming home. Y'all got to get out of here. Okay, get out of here. Okay, so step number one of the call out framework is you call out to your ideal person with an if you, do you, or are you statement. So again, let's say that our ideal person, someone who's got a puppy, because we're selling dog training stuff, ideal person's got a puppy, puppy's driving them nuts. Damn thing's chewing up shoes, all right? So we would say, if you are the owner of a new puppy, that's calling right out to them, isn't it? Who's going to watch that? The owner of a new puppy. They're like, oh, as a matter of fact, I am the owner of a new puppy. Or we could use the do you. Do you have a new puppy? There's that one. Or are you the owner of a new puppy? Either way, I know that's super basic, but remember Occam's razor. Simplest is always best. And then we go into the next step of scripting, which is, thank God for these very, very fancy notes. We talk about their problems or desires. Okay, it could be either one. So this is where it helps to know who you want. So this new puppy owner, he's got a problem. Dog's eating the shoes all the time. All right, he just bought his wife some fancy pants shoes. What are fancy pants shoes? Christian Dior shoes or Chanel shoes or whatever, and the dog had them for breakfast. That's a problem. His desire is the dog stop doing that. Right? So now we just address those problems and desires in this framework of the ad. I like doing these in video, by the way, most of the time. So we'll start from the top. Do you have a brand new puppy and you love that puppy and it's the greatest thing ever, but you having this kind of situation where most brand new puppy owners have, where the dog, despite how great it is having your wife's brand new Chanel shoes for breakfast every day until, of course, he runs out of Chanel shoes and then he switches to your shoes. And then have you ever noticed that after he's done with eating your shoes, they tend to come out of the other end all over your carpet? See, what we're doing right there is we're just talking about the desire and the problem. What's happening, incidentally, during this phase, psychologically, I'm going to draw a little light bulb here, even though it's not an idea, nor does it really look like I'm going to draw a keyhole, a defective keyhole is what that is. This guy's thinking, he's talking just to me. As a matter of fact, that is exactly what I'm experiencing. This is what we're trying to achieve, just in that opening little part of the ad, okay? So now what we want to do is we want to educate, all right? So in this case, remember, earlier I said, hey, I just gave you, here's how to sell stuff. And I was like, that framework works pretty good to strangers. It works even better to people who already know you, like you, trust you, and want what you have. The way to make them want what you have is to cause this reaction where they say, I can relate to that person, he understands me, and he has helped me, or she, of course, has helped me. We do that by educating them. We already got their attention here, so this is getting their attention. Now we give them some tips on how to make the gosh dang dog stop eating the Chanel shoes, right? So we might say, well, in this little video today, if we were doing a video, I'm going to show you 3 ways to make your dog stop chewing on the shoes. Number 1, put the damn shoes on the top shelf. Common sense. Very, whatever, right? So we would give them some education. And then finally, we would make an offer. All right, and the offer is going to vary depending on your sales process. So if you've been kind of following along as we've been doing this show, we always talk about, hey, every business has a sales process. That sales process could be someone going to your website and buying your dog training book. It could be someone going to your dog training academy, walking in, going, this place looks pretty good, I'm going to sign Fido up. It could be someone calling you, saying, hey, would you please come out and meet my dog and give me an estimate on how much it's going to cost me to train my dog? Whatever your sales process is determines what you say here in this offer part. And in this offer part, You just say, well, if that sounds like you and you're really serious about getting your dog to stop chewing up all your shoes, here's what I got. My name is Frank Kern, and I own Crazy Frank's House of Dog Training, and here's what we do. We train your dog so he won't blah, 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 and here's what I want you to do next. Either call me, come on down and see me, or go to my website. Whichever one of these works for your sales process, that's what you tell them to do next. Now, the purpose of this whole piece right here, isn't necessarily to get somebody to come and call you, although people will, but this really, the purpose of that is to build that bond with people and to have them think like, I like this person. He knows about dogs. I think I'd like him to train my dog, right? So I think we can take uno mas calo, and that's proper Russian. And
Devin in Pennsylvania.
all right, Pennsylvania is one of those states where people sound mad a lot. Devin, how's it going, man?
It's good, Mr. Frank. How you doing?
Pretty good. He doesn't sound mad. Not you might be the least angry Pennsylvania person I've ever heard. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We're actually pretty nice. I come from a small area, so we're pretty nice around here.
Maybe it's Philly where people just sound angry. Yeah. It's
Oh,
the
yeah,
accent.
sure.
They just they sound mad. They're like, hello, I'm sorry. Whatever it was me. I admit it. I'm sorry. Hey, what can I help you with?
Exactly. It's funny because I'm still watching your live. You just answered my question exactly for what I do, because we run a dog service, dog training services, grooming daycare.
I did that on purpose. Yeah.
Yep, I felt like you did.
Yeah,
funny.
that was pure luck. That's kind of weird, but awesome. I got lucky on that one.
Yep. I did. I just have one more question. So through those services that we run, I try retargeting ads, just trying to get everybody going, and it doesn't seem like I know how to test properly, because I don't want to just keep throwing money at the wrong ads.
Cool. Okay, so what was the objective of the ad? Number one.
We want to get people in for our free meet and greet.
Okay, so
just to have them get a free day of daycare to offer, basically.
you wanted them to come in, so I'll call that a visit, right? So that's a visit.
Yeah.
I'll call that a store visit. Yeah?
Yes, and we wanted to get a contact made also, so we could put them on our email list.
Which one was more important?
Definitely getting them in the store.
Okay. So in the ads, see, we're already in a danger zone. What we've done, Natalie, is we've taken the highway straight to the danger zone. That's what we did. A little Kenny Loggins for you right there. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. Hey, I'll be here all weekend. Okay, so in the ads, did you say come into the store for the meet and greet, or go here and give me your contact data?
Basically, you can either go to the opt-in page, or you can give us a call to schedule your meet and greet.
Okay. 2 is bad. Okay. 2 is bad. 2 calls to action in one ad campaign will mess you up. So if we had to do that over, we would tell them to come into the store, if that's the sales process that has always historically worked. And I know it's not a store technically, but for the sake of nomenclature, it works okay. Now let's talk about the ad campaign itself. All right, we know this was the objective, right? This is what we wanted people to do. We know that it done blowed up, to use proper grammar, because you told them to either do one of 2 things, and that usually results in people not doing anything. I know this because I've made that mistake a million times myself, so I speak from experience. Now tell me about the ads. What happened? Who were you showing them to, and what kind of ads were they, et cetera?
So most of them are just, I can actually, so one of them is just, it's a quick, I don't know what you would call it exactly, but I have one that says, feeling guilty about leaving your pup at home all day, and then just throwing out our daycare services, and schedule a free meet and greet by either by clicking the link or giving us a call.
Okay.
And I got the number and everything in there, yeah.
So you did call out, kind of, and then not really a here's what I got, here's what it'll do for you, just a do next. With 2 different do nexts. So the framework was a little bit off. However, if we were to redo this thing, I would put that one here at the end, right? So this is going to be your pitch video or pitch ad, which kind of says what you said, but we'd spruce up the copy a little bit, right? We'd probably test 5 or 6 different versions of the ads. It doesn't cost any more to split test those ads, But then I'd want to warm these guys up. with some content, typically before they see it, right? So here's what's really, really cool about social media ads right now. Oh, by the way, was there anything else to the campaign other than that strategy?
Yeah, it was mostly call outs and just like trying to make it like limited space available. I forget that what that's called, but you know.
And how much did you spend on it?
I do $5 to $15 a day. Just like I push certain times a little harder.
Cool. And how many days did it run?
Like it's a 60 rolling, so we constantly are optimizing and updating it, trying to figure out what's working.
So you're 60 days in?
No, we're probably about like 180. Like it's been like 2 quarters.
Dang. Okay. So is it working at all?
Yeah, I mean, you know, but they're random spikes. Like I would like more of a continuous, more of a stabilized thing.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that are messing you up is this number right here. All right. And I know this is real popular in Facebook, you know, how to get rich on Facebook by doing nothing in your underwear, eating Cheetos courses. The old $5 to $15 a day thing is just wrong. It's bad data. The reason why is because of statistical relevance. See, good old Facebook, it runs on an algorithm which uses machine learning. And machine learning has to have data fed into it so it can learn what to do next. And when you're saying, hey, only spend $5 to $15 a day on this ad, it's basically saying, I know you're very, very thirsty, Facebook, for this data. I'm going to give you one medicine drop of water every day for you to survive. So it's not really able to learn enough to be able to give you the consistency that you want. However, I don't want you just to bump up that ad budget because I don't like the ad copy. You know, I want to make that ad copy a little bit better. So, long story short, sounds like you're about $1,500 or so into the experiment. Is that right?
A little more, but yeah, just around it.
Okay, yeah. So you're not going to like this, but I want you to spend around $100 a day. But I want you to compress the time here, all right? So you'll get your data a lot faster. So what you need to do is, because we know they're coming to a physical location, all right, I want you to target everybody within, say, 10 miles. Is that too far to drive you? Would you drive 10 miles for a dog place? We're in Miami, so 10 miles is like 3,000 years away. But you know, the rest of the world is probably, especially if you're rural, all right? So let's say 10 miles of your physical location. And most people would say, I want you to target everybody with dogs, but you don't really have to because that's actually the more expensive way to do it. What I want you to do now is I want you to show video ads to everybody within a certain age range. So if they're 16, they're probably not going to be your customer. So you might want to show it to everybody between the ages of, 25 and 60 or whatever. In the beginning of those video ads, say, do you have a dog and you're feeling guilty about leaving the dog at home all day, and follow that same framework I just gave you. Now what's going to happen is they're not going to immediately see the ad and go, well, here's my money. What is going to happen is they're going to see the ad and they're going to be added to a retargeting audience, which is what you mentioned at the beginning, and then we're going to show those people, because now they've behaviorally indicated they've got dogs and they feel guilty, otherwise they wouldn't have watched the video. Now we're going to show those people properly formatted conversion ads, which are the pitch ads. So that's the overall strategy there. So you're pretty close. The reason I want to spend $100 a day is because you're going to get the data faster. Whenever you're running a test, number one, make sure you're following the proper framework like this. Number two, the very beginning of your test, like your first couple of weeks or whatever, it's basically you're writing a check to Facebook for Facebook to say, here's exactly what works, right? So during that testing period, you try a lot of stuff. Most of it doesn't work. Then you find the one thing that does. Then you hammer the ever-living crap out of that thing. So that's how to do that. So we're pretty close. We got to do a little diagnosing right there, didn't we, is what we did. Okay. What do you say? Thank you for calling, by the way. What do you say we show in the second, actually, technically speaking, this is the third magic formula secret. The third secret magic formula. Just trying to make it sound as internet marketing-ish as possible because it amuses me. Okay, so the other type of content ad to make is one called the indicator structure, okay? So it's called the indicator. Indicator apparently has an N before the D. There we go, indicator. Can't write and talk at the same time, all right? Here's the logic behind an indicator, all right? What an indicator means in this particular context is that within a lot of businesses, not every one of them, but within most of them, there are certain things that will happen in your prospect's life that will indicate this person's about to be a pretty good prospect for me, right? And so, for example, on the dog thing, what if your dog suddenly just starts itching in his ears and whining while he's itching his ears all the time, and you're a vet? The fact he's doing that is a pretty good indicator that the dog owner is going to need to take that dog to a vet pretty soon because something ain't right with his ears, right? That's called an indicator. So there's all kinds of stuff. Like if we're an HVAC repair company and someone suddenly has brown spots in the ceiling tiles of their commercial property, that's a good indicator that, hey man, that water filtration thingy, technical term, water filtration thingy in the HVAC unit's done tore up and they're going to need someone to come fix it. Same with roofers, right? If you're a new parent and, or rather if your market is a new parent and you're a pediatrician, a good indicator that that new parent is going to need to use pediatric services would be if the baby suddenly developed a rash. So all kinds of markets, something will happen in someone's life where it's an indicator that, all right, now this person's about to be ready. It's your job to identify what they are. Once you know what they are, here's your framework, okay? Step numero uno, as we address it. It sounded pretty good, didn't it? I mean, you would think that I was from Barcelona, all right? Mainly because of the quantities of ham that I consistently shove into my face. All right, so when we address these indicators, we follow this framework. Have, are, or do you. So the second word here is always you. Have you, are you, or do you. So if we're talking about that dog, right? Now you're a vet in this example, you're a veterinary doctor, which I was, funnily enough, pre-veterinary medicine at University of Georgia for like 3 hours. So basically I'm a trained physician. If you guys need stitches or any medical advice, I got you, okay? So we're a vet, we want to target dog owners. We're looking for the indicator. The indicator is the dog's ears are itching and he's whining when he's scratching the ears, which is typically going to be an indication of some kind of allergy or mites or something. See, pre-vet, what did I tell you? All right, so we might say something like, do you have a dog and your dog just kind of recently started scratching his ears all the time, and when he scratches his ears, he kind of whines and looks like he's in a lot of pain? All we're doing is addressing that indicator that's going on in their life, right? We could say something like, instead of have, has, right? Has your dog been scratching his ears a lot lately, and every time he scratches them, it looks like he's in a lot of pain and it seems to be getting worse? That's that framework, right? Or are you a dog owner whose dog is suddenly out of nowhere just kind of started scratching his ears all the time, and every time he scratches it seems like it hurts him worse and worse, and it doesn't look like it's getting better? So either way you want to word it, those are your frameworks on how to word it, right? So now the next thing we do is we enter the conversation in the prospect's mind, all right? Enter the conversation in the prospect's mind. And that's a term that was coined by a fella, I believe it was Robert Collier. I think it was Robert Collier wrote that in his famous Robert Collier letter book. If you're an advertising person, you would know this. I'm embarrassed to not know my ad history, but by God, there's so much of it, sometimes you get it confused. This individual, whoever it was, pretty sure it was Robert Collier. Me and 7 other people watching right now are like, I think it was Robert Collier, right? Anyway, he was talking about the way to get someone's attention and really build that bond is to start talking about what they're already thinking about in their mind. So in this case, now remember, our prospect's got this dog. Dog's ear starts itching a lot and he's kind of whining, it's not getting worse. What are they thinking about? So we might say something like, hey, if this sounds like your dog, you're probably feeling pretty worried about the dog and you're wondering to yourself, see, we're just entering that conversation in your mind, where you're probably wondering to yourself, should I call a vet? Is this serious? Is something wrong with my dog's hearing? Has he been bitten by something? Is he having an allergic reaction or whatever? So that's all we're doing, right? It's kind of like exacerbating the situation a little bit, really. Next thing we want to do is we want to answer their burning questions. I'll abbreviate that. That's how you spell answer now, answer. All right, we want to answer their burning questions. So we know, as veterinary doctors, all right, typical dog owner whose dog's doing all this stuff, here's what he's freaked out about. We want to answer that. This is, by the way, we're creating value right here, right? We're building that bond in doing this. So we alleviate their concerns, or freak them out if they need to be freaked out. Like, what if it's something really serious? You wouldn't want to do it maliciously, but you want to do the best thing you can by your prospect. So don't sugarcoat the truth if it's a serious situation. And then finally, we make the offer. So for a veterinary office, it would probably be to call them, right? So your offer wouldn't be, hey, go here and fill out a form on our website and we'll get back to you. Typically, a veterinary office would be like, hey, if this sounds like your dog and you're concerned about it, which you should be, that means you're a good dog owner, we'd be happy to examine your dog. We have emergency services available 24 hours a day. If you'll call us right now, we'll drop it whatever we're doing, tend to your dog, make sure he or she is okay, and give your pet the safety and comfort that it truly deserves. Here's what to do next, right? And boom, you're off to the races, right? So that's called the indicator framework. So the way these things work all together now, right, the overall strategy that we employ here at our agency is something called intent-based branding. I'll abbreviate it, IBB for short. What this means is by virtue of doing this type of content, whether it's call-out content or indicator content, we are building a brand for you with the intention of getting a sale. So we're not building a brand like, Coca-Cola going, Coke. How about that? That's kind of what their ads say. I like them for it. They can get away with it. They have a gazillion dollars. Me and you, we can't. Wouldn't that be great though if we just came on and we were like, Cardone Kern, huh? See? But that we can't really do that, right? So we build your brand with the intention of getting that sale sooner rather than later. We want to compress that period of time that someone goes from thinking about it to buying it, right? So the way we do this is we go to an audience full of strangers, right? We call this a cold audience. This could be people who meet the criteria of your ideal person, or in the case of the fellow in Pennsylvania there, it could be just people within a 10-mile radius, and we would just call out to them, hey, do you have a dog? So we would put the content out there, use either one of those frameworks. Either one's cool. If they watch it, you know what they done did when they watch it? They have self-identified as probably being a pretty good prospect for you. Why else would someone be watching videos about dog ear stuff? I guess if they're like into weird stuff, but probably if you're watching that kind of content, you got a dog and you want to be a good dog owner, etc. Right? So once somebody watches it, you do nothing. By the way, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they all work this way. We're just going to say Facebook because it's easier than naming all three. Facebook's going to put them in something called a retargeting audience. This happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. But what this means is now you can show just the people who have watched that stuff more content, and you can show them pitches, which is that very first formula that I gave you. And in a nutshell, now there's more to it, but I don't want to put you to sleep because it's all techie and stuff. In a nutshell, this is how intent-based branding works. The reason this is so cool to do right now is because this part of the equation, where you're showing total strangers content that causes them to know you, like you, and trust you, it is ridiculously inexpensive. Like unbelievably inexpensive. It's like if TV called and said, hey, we want to sell you a TV ad, and you'd be like, I don't think so. It's kind of expensive and not a lot of people watch it. And then they were like, well, okay, yeah, you're kind of right there. What if we give it to you for 99.99999% off? Would you take it then? And you're like, I don't know. It's not that great. And then they were like, okay, what if you only pay us if someone actually sees the ad? And you're like, it's sounding pretty good, but I want you to do better for me. And then what if they said, well, fine, okay, what if we only show the ad in the first place to your perfect customers? That's the situation we're in right now today. It's truly like the greatest era of marketing in the history of the world. Not that I've lived throughout the entire history of the world, but I am a student of advertising for the past 20 years. Nobody's ever had it as good as us right now. So this is like one of those rare moments where the universe has conspired in your favor. And if you take advantage of this, you can build a big business and a big brand and have everybody in your marketplace know you, like you, trust you, and want what you have to sell. So I hope you found this enjoyable. Thanks to everybody who called in. I really appreciate it. Once again, my name is Frank Kern, CEO, co-founder, and creative director, and the person with the most titles here at the Cardone Kern Advertising Agency. If you want us just to handle all of this stuff for you, best thing to do, go to cardonekern.com, read the beautifully written letter that I put on that website, and if you like what you see there, fill out the little form and we'll set up a time to talk. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you next week. Oh, and once again, last week, we were the #1 podcast on Grant's network. Just saying, Grant. He is, of course, out of town, and he's not making any podcasts this week, but we'll just disregard that fact and stick with the first fact, which was we were the number one. So thanks, everyone who downloaded it, and I appreciate all your support. See y'all later. Take it easy.
Apply that attention. Because if you don't keep my full attention, you ain't going to get none of my money.
If you want Cardone Kern to grow your brand for you, to get your market's attention, keep your market's attention, and cause them to know you, like you, trust you, and want what it is that you have to sell, go to CardoneKern.com.